You ever find yourself in a situation where you know you're giving your all, but the other person, whether it's a partner, friend, or someone you care about, treats you like you're just one of many options? Yeah, I know that feeling. It's like you're pouring your heart out, giving your time, your energy, your attention, only to realize that you're not even on their priority list. You're just another choice, another backup plan in case everything else falls apart. And let me tell you, that stings. It cuts deep. Now, I want you to understand something. Being an option is not something we should ever settle for. You deserve better. We all deserve better. It's important to recognize the impact that kind of treatment has on us, because when you're treated like an option, it messes with your mind. It makes you second guess yourself. It makes you question your worth. You begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? And let me tell you, nothing is wrong with you. You are worthy of someone who sees your value, someone who prioritizes you, not someone who keeps you on the sidelines, waiting for the moment when it's convenient for them. See, when you're treated like an option, it becomes a constant battle. You start to feel like you're not being seen, not being heard. You're giving your time, your energy, but you're not getting that same respect in return. And the thing is, when you're constantly put on the back burner, it begins to chip away at your confidence. It messes with your sense of self-worth. You start to feel like maybe you're not enough. You begin to accept the bare minimum, thinking that's all you deserve. But I'm here to tell you, that's not the truth. You've got to stop accepting being second place. Stop letting yourself be an afterthought. People will treat you how you allow them to treat you. And if you let them treat you like an option, that's what you'll be. Nothing more than a choice to be considered when everything else doesn't work out. But you're not here for that. You weren't made to be an option. You were made to be a priority. You were made to be respected, loved, and valued. But here's where it gets real. This whole situation isn't just about the other person. It's about you too. You've got to know your worth. You've got to look in the mirror and tell yourself, I deserve better. I deserve someone who's going to choose me, not just when it's convenient, but every single day. I deserve someone who's going to make me feel seen, heard, and valued. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. That's self-love. And the sooner you realize your own value, the sooner you'll stop accepting anything less than what you deserve. So the next time someone tries to treat you like you're just an option in their life, don't settle. Don't let them take your time or your heart for granted. Recognize that you deserve someone who sees you as their priority, someone who chooses you without hesitation. When you know your worth and refuse to accept anything less, that's when things begin to shift. That's when you begin to set boundaries and demand the respect you deserve. You stop being an option and you start being a priority. And let me tell you this, it's not easy, but it's necessary. And you'll thank yourself for it later. Let them know what it feels like when they finally realize how it feels to be an option. It's time to start recognizing your own value. I'm talking about truly understanding who you are and what you bring to the table. See, so many of us walk around giving so much of ourselves, and we do it without even thinking. But somewhere along the line, we forget that we are worthy of the same energy we put out. We forget that we deserve to be treated with the same respect, the same love, the same commitment that we so freely give to others. And let me tell you, once you realize your worth, that's when things begin to change. Too often, we get caught up in the idea that we have to earn love, that we have to prove ourselves to others, that we have to bend over backwards to get someone's attention or affection. But let me be clear. You don't need to earn basic respect. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You are valuable because you exist. Your time, your heart, your presence, they matter. And once you understand that, once you truly feel that in every fiber of your being, you start to see yourself differently. You stop letting people treat you like an option. You stop letting people make you feel like you're anything less than a priority. When you begin to recognize your worth, you begin to set a standard for what you will and won't accept in your relationship. You start drawing boundaries and you don't apologize for them. You don't feel bad for saying no. You don't feel guilty for putting yourself first, because let's be honest, if you don't put yourself first, who will? You have to be the one who recognizes your value and insists that others do the same. Now, I know what you're thinking, but if I set boundaries, if I put myself first, what if people walk away? And I'm here to tell you, if someone walks away because you're respecting yourself, respecting your needs, then maybe they weren't the person you needed in your life in the first place. See, when you start respecting yourself, you attract people who will respect you too. You draw in the kind of energy that matches yours. And that's powerful, because when you value yourself, when you don't settle for less, the right people, the ones who are ready to give the same respect you give, will show up. But it doesn't just stop with setting boundaries. Recognizing your value also means giving yourself permission to be unapologetically you. You don't need to shrink yourself for anyone's comfort. You don't need to dim your light just because it might make someone else uncomfortable. Stand tall in who you are. Embrace your flaws, your strengths, your uniqueness. When you truly value yourself, you stop pretending to be something you're not in order to please others. You stop putting on masks trying to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. And the truth is, when you start living authentically, when you start showing up as your true self, you'll realize something. The right people will gravitate toward you. The ones who value you, who appreciate your authenticity, your strength, your vulnerability, they'll see you. And those people, they're the ones who will treat you like a priority. They'll see the value in what you bring to the table, and they won't hesitate to show you that you matter. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to be easy. There will be times when you'll question if you're asking for too much, if you're setting the bar too high. But let me tell you, it's never too high to demand respect, to demand love, to demand to be treated with the kindness and care that you give to others. So as you move forward, I want you to remember this. Your value is not up for debate. Don't let anyone make you feel small or like you're not enough. You are more than enough. You are worthy of being loved, respected, and cherished. When you start recognizing your worth, you will stop accepting anything less than the best. And that's when your life will truly begin to change. You are the priority. Never forget that. Let's talk about the consequences of indifference in relationships. When you're treated like an option, it's not just about your feelings getting hurt in the moment. It's deeper than that. Over time, this kind of treatment starts to eat away at the foundation of the relationship. It builds walls, and before you know it, trust is broken, communication is strained, and you're left questioning everything you thought was solid. What we don't realize sometimes is that when people treat us as a secondary thought, it doesn't just affect our relationship with them, it starts to affect the way we see ourselves too. Being made to feel like an option often leads to a sense of emotional isolation, even if you're physically in the same room with someone. When you know they don't see you as a priority, it feels like you're invisible. It's like you're there, but not really there. And that, my friends, is a dangerous place to be. You begin to feel like you're not enough, like you're not worthy of their time or effort. You start doubting whether or not you matter. But let me be clear, you do matter. Your time, your energy, your love, they all matter. You deserve to be valued for who you are, not just when it's convenient or when nothing else is around. And then the damage doesn't just stay with you, it spills into how you approach every relationship, how you interact with others, and how you let people treat you. When you're constantly left wondering if you're second choice, you start accepting less. You begin to lower your standards. You start tolerating things that you shouldn't because you think it's better than nothing. But here's the thing, nothing is better than being treated poorly. It's better to stand alone than to be in a relationship where you're just a backup plan. The thing with indifference is that it's not always obvious at first. Sometimes it's small things that pile up. Maybe it's the lack of effort to check in, or the constant canceling of plans, or the way they'll give you attention when nothing else is going on in their life but ignore you when they're busy with something else. These small moments start to add up, and before you know it, you realize the relationship is one-sided. You're putting in all the work, all the energy, all the emotion, but they're just floating along, barely noticing what you bring to the table, and that hurts. But more than that, it wears you down. It makes you feel small, like you're not important enough to be fully engaged with. And here's the thing about trust. Once it's broken, it's hard to rebuild. Indifference, neglect, or the feeling of being an option chips away at trust. You can't keep investing in someone who isn't willing to invest in you, because deep down, you'll start to feel like they don't care. And when trust erodes, the relationship begins to fracture. You stop sharing your thoughts, your dreams, your fears, because you start to feel like they won't listen anyway. You stop giving your all because you realize you're not giving anything close to that in return. And as much as we try to convince ourselves that it doesn't hurt, the truth is it does. It hurts like hell. But here's what I want you to understand. No matter how much it hurts, no matter how much it feels like it's all falling apart, you have the power to change it. You don't have to accept this treatment. You don't have to keep fighting for someone who isn't giving you the same effort. You have the right to stand up for yourself, to set boundaries, and to demand the respect that you deserve. Because when you stop tolerating indifference, you open the door for something real, something built on trust, communication, and mutual respect. And if someone can't give you that, then it's time to walk away. No one deserves to feel like an option. You're not a backup plan, you're a priority. And it's time you started acting like it. There's something powerful about taking control of your own life. When you stop accepting the role of the option and step into your own power, everything changes. It's not easy. And I'm not going to lie to you. There are going to be moments when you question if you're doing the right thing, when you wonder if you're being too harsh, too rigid, too demanding. But here's the truth. You are not being too anything. You're simply demanding the respect and love that you deserve. And that's something that should never be up for debate. Taking control means recognizing that you are the one responsible for your own happiness. You can't put that on someone else. If you're waiting around for someone else to make you feel valuable, to make you feel loved, you'll be waiting forever. That's not how it works. You have to first and foremost make the decision to take control of your own narrative. You have to decide that you are worthy of respect, that you are worthy of being treated like a priority. And once you make that decision, once you start standing in that power, things begin to shift. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what if I lose someone important in my life? What if they walk away because I've set boundaries, because I've said enough? And here's the thing. If someone walks away because you're standing up for yourself, if they leave because you're no longer willing to settle for being an option, then maybe they weren't as important as you thought. Maybe it's time to let them go. I know it's hard, especially when you've invested so much time, so much energy, so much of yourself into that person, but you have to ask yourself, what are you really gaining by staying in a situation where you're not being valued? What's the point of holding on to something that's only draining you, only making you feel less than? When you take control, you take back your peace. You stop letting the uncertainty, the doubt, the emotional roller coaster dictate how you feel. You're not waiting around for someone else's validation anymore. You're validating yourself. You stop looking inside of yourself for the approval you've been seeking. You start looking inward and telling yourself, I'm enough. I'm worthy. And if someone can't see that, then they don't need to be in my life. Taking control doesn't mean being harsh, or cold. It doesn't mean pushing people away. It means choosing you. It means saying, I am going to protect my heart, my time, and my energy, and I will not give them to anyone who is not willing to meet me halfway. That's what taking control looks like. It's about recognizing your worth and acting accordingly. But here's the kicker. When you do this, when you stand firm in your worth, you'll notice a shift in the people around you. You see that the ones who are truly meant to be in your life will start stepping up. They'll stop treating you like an option and start treating you like the priority you always should have been. The people who genuinely care about you, who see your value, will respect your boundaries. They'll see you in a new light because they'll understand that you're not someone to be taken for granted. And the people who aren't willing to show up for you, well, they'll show themselves out. And that's okay too. Because when you take control of your life, when you take control of how you're treated, you start attracting the kind of people who know your worth, people who are ready to match your energy. You stop settling for less than what you deserve. And that's when things really start to change. Taking control is about setting the standard for how you want to be treated. It's about refusing to be anyone's second choice. And it's about showing up for yourself, even when it's hard, even when it means walking away from people or situations that no longer serve you. Remember this: you are the author of your story, and you have the power to write the next chapter. So take control and let the world know how it feels when they don't put you first. Now, let's talk about the power of shifting the dynamic. When you stop being someone's backup plan, when you stop being the person they only turn to when nothing else is working out, things start to change. The power shifts from them to you. And that, my friends, is when you begin to take control of your own life and your own relationships. We've all been there, feeling like we're giving everything we've got and not getting much in return. We've been the ones putting in the effort, trying to be there for someone only to be treated like an afterthought. But let me tell you, there's a moment when you realize that you're done with that. You stop accepting it. You stop settling for being treated like an option. You take a step back. And that's when the power dynamics begin to shift. You might not even notice it right away, but the moment you stop giving someone your time and energy when they don't deserve it, something powerful happens. You stop allowing them to dictate the terms of the relationship. You stop letting them have all the control. And whether they realize it or not, they start to feel that shift. They start to feel the absence of your presence, the lack of your attention, and they start to wonder what happened. And when that happens, the tables turn. See, people take things for granted. They take people for granted. When they know they have someone in their life who will always be there, who will always make themselves available, they begin to expect it. They don't have to put in the same effort because they know you'll stick around. But the moment you decide to stop being someone's option, when you show them that you won't just hang around waiting for them to choose you, that's when they begin to realize that things aren't so easy anymore. It's like a wake-up call for them. The dynamic shifts because they see that you're not just sitting there hoping and waiting for them to come around. You're not waiting for their approval, their attention, their affection. You've decided that you are your own priority. And that changes everything. When you make this shift, you stop chasing after validation. You stop trying to convince someone that you're worth their time. You stop pouring your energy into someone who isn't willing to give you the same in return. And when that happens, the power shifts. The moment you stop chasing, the person who once took you for granted starts to feel the weight of their own action. They start to realize what they're losing. And that's when the game changes. Now, you're not just waiting around to be chosen. You've become the one with the power to choose. You're not begging for attention or affection. You're no longer scrambling for their time and energy. You're holding yourself to a higher standard. You're saying, I know my worth, and if you want to be in my life, you need to meet me where I am. And here's what happens next. People begin to show up differently. They start to realize that you're not just going to be there when it's convenient for them. They see that you have your own life, your own goals, your own sense of self-worth. And if they want to be a part of that, they have to step up. That's when you begin to see who's really in your corner. The people who genuinely care about you, who understand your value, will start to make the effort. They will stop taking you for granted because they know you won't let them. But the people who don't see your worth, they'll fall away. And that's okay, because you don't need anyone who doesn't see your value. You don't need to waste time on relationships that aren't mutually fulfilling. Shifting the power dynamics isn't about playing games. It's about recognizing that you deserve to be a priority, not an option. It's about understanding that your time, your energy, and your heart are valuable. And when you make the decision to stop accepting less than that, you start to see who's really ready to invest in you. The shift in power is yours to make. Once you stop letting someone treat you like a second choice, you show them what it feels like when they're the ones who might lose out. And that's a lesson they won't forget. Let's talk about the power of walking away. Now, I know for some of you, that might be the hardest part, walking away, whether it's from a relationship, a friendship, or even a situation that's just draining the life out of you. It's never easy, but let me tell you, sometimes walking away is the best thing you can do for yourself. When you stop being someone's second choice and start choosing yourself, you begin to realize that the most important thing you can do is protect your peace. Walking away doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean that you're weak or that you didn't try hard enough. No, it means that you have enough respect for yourself to know when it's time to say enough is enough. You know when to step away from the things that no longer serve you. And let me tell you, that takes strength. It takes courage. It takes understanding your worth and deciding that you won't settle for less. When you walk away, you're not abandoning something or someone. You're simply choosing to prioritize yourself. You're saying, I am worth more than this. I deserve better than this. And sometimes that's the hardest decision to make. It's easier to stay, to keep fighting, to keep trying to make things work. But you have to ask yourself, how much of yourself are you willing to lose in the process? How much longer are you willing to sacrifice your happiness, your peace, your self-worth, just to keep someone around who doesn't appreciate you the way you deserve? It's important to realize that by walking away, you're not just removing yourself from a situation, you're making space for something better to come into your life. You're making room for people who will respect you, love you, and value you for who you are. When you walk away from something that doesn't serve you, you open up the opportunity for growth. You give yourself the chance to heal, to rediscover who you are outside of the situation. You stop allowing someone else to define your worth. You start defining it for yourself. And walking away doesn't always mean leaving with anger or bitterness. It doesn't mean burning bridges or cutting people out of your life with resentment. Sometimes walking away is about letting go with grace. It's about acknowledging that it's just time to move on, time to take care of yourself, time to stop wasting energy on something that's not giving you what you deserve in return. You don't have to make a big scene. You don't have to yell or scream or beg for closure. You simply make the decision to step away and let things be. The beauty of walking away is that it doesn't diminish you. In fact, it elevates you. You're showing yourself in the world that you know your worth and you're not afraid to protect it. When you choose yourself, you send a clear message to everyone around you that you are not to be taken for granted. You will not be someone's option. You will not settle for less than the respect, love, and care you give to others. And when you walk away, you're leaving the door open for people who will appreciate you for who you are, for all the things you bring to the table, But here's the most important part. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It takes an incredible amount of self-awareness to recognize when something is no longer right for you, and it takes even more strength to walk away from it. It's not easy, but it's necessary, because when you walk away, you make room for better things. You make room for people who will value you the way you deserve to be valued. You make room for relationships that are built on mutual respect, effort, and love. So if you're in a situation where you're constantly treated like an option, where you're giving more than you're getting, where you're being ignored, taken for granted, or disrespected, understand this. Walking away isn't failure. Walking away is choosing yourself. And when you choose yourself, you show the world how it feels when they don't put you first.